You are listening to another AlwaysMoto production. The AlwaysMoto podcast with your host, David Hogan. We talk moto events from around the world. All the injuries, all the training ins and outs, the bikes, parts and gear inspections. The results, we interview your favourite riders. It's the AlwaysMoto podcast. We occasionally have some coarse language and the odd stuff up along the way. If you don't like it or you don't agree with us, turn it off right now.
I'd like to remind you that he is not a doctor.
That's right, Moto fans. This is episode 177 of the AlwaysMoto podcast, proudly presented by TechnicMotorsport.com and Duramoose.com.au. And welcome into the show. We've got a bit of a different show coming up here shortly. As you will see, we've had a bit of the usual tech issues trying to get this thing going here. We're actually going off earlier than we put on the invite for the live on the stream for YouTube, but if you've missed the start, sorry about that. If you're watching this back in the archives, oh well, you'll pick it up next time. We're trying to aim for 7:30. We're trying to aim for 8. We got here at 7:30, but here we are. So I am your host, David Hogan. We're going to be joined here in a second by Ben Grinly, the AlwaysMoto Contractor, and we've got another guest on the line, which will be a first for our live streams, and we'll see how this works, and we'll hopefully, fingers crossed, nothing goes astray. So we're obviously going to talk about Super Motocross 2026 so far, the injuries. We're going to talk, I've had the Stark Varg EX for a few more weeks now. We're going to talk a little bit about that. So there's plenty to go on this show, but our guest that's going to join with the contractor, Ben Grinly, it's an Australian Supercross privateer, man. He's been in the Indian Supercross League, I should say. I was going to go cricket terminology there for a second because it's Indian, but we're going to get him here. We're going to bring him up. We've got both of them here on the line. We've got Caleb Goullet and Ben Grinly joining us here. Hopefully everybody's on the stream and seeing it, but I can see it, so it looks fine from my end, so apologies if it stuffs up. Caleb, how are we doing? Benny, how are we?
Good, doing well. The weather's good. Melbourne's providing some pretty good weather lately, so I'm happy with that.
I like the fact you're outside and you've got blue sky and it's like 7:30. You know, it's a nice Aussie thing at the moment to look on the backdrop there, mate.
Yeah, well, it's crazy. I was actually just up in Queensland last weekend. I was seeing my sister lives up there, and Noel Ferguson. I was up seeing him, and it's dark so early there. I'm not used to it, and here, like, it's like 9:30, 10 is when the sun goes down. Like, yeah, it's actually really nice in the summertime with the daylight savings for it. You just get to use the day so much better. But yeah, interesting the Queenslanders don't have it, and then their sun comes up earlier in the morning. So well and truly fairly early. I'm not used to it. It's crazy. Like down here, there's like everyone's it takes about 7 a.m. for everyone to start getting pretty active. Down there, it's like literally 5 a.m. Everyone's up. Everyone's running. Everyone thinks I'm a psycho down here because when I go for a run, I just always run with no t-shirt on. Even if it's 7 degrees or anything, I just genuinely reckon it makes you faster and feel better. And you go up there and it's just the principle of running is just no t-shirt.
Well, we'll let Benny get in this in a sec because I don't think he runs without a shirt. I'm sure he's got one on if he's out running. But mate, it must have been a good look. Benny can jump in on this, but too, it must have been a good look if you had the old flow going on with no shirt on too at times.
Yeah, well, that's actually gone now.
I noticed.
I just cut it off.
How many car crashes have we caused that people turn around to look at you?
It was actually a pretty distinctive haircut. I've had a member at the owner recovery centre just in Sunbury as well, and I live pretty like away out of Sunbury, and I was just running over the freeway, and one of the members said, "I knew exactly who it was because I could tell from the haircut."
Just flapping in the breeze. Yep. Couldn't miss that bloke for sure. So what's caused the hair to get trimmed, mate? Are you looking more professional these days? Is it the self-owner business side of things going on? You had to clean up, or you just wanted to change your look?
No, to be honest, I'm a type of person where like you got to create a character. You know, like with racing, everyone likes character. Like, a bit of a backstory behind the mullet. So I feel like every Aussie's got to grow a mullet once in their life.
No, they don't.
And no, just grow it while you can. And yeah, so I had a bit of a mullet going on. This was when I was working for my old boy driving trucks, and one of my workers there, he loves F1. And my favourite driver is Valtteri Bottas. And he was always dying his hair, and it was like a bet whoever loses the F1 this weekend. I lost because obviously Max Verstappen won his 130,000 bloody win. And I dyed my hair blonde, and then when I was racing, I had a sponsor this year that said, you know, I seen your mullet last year, I loved it, and I'm going to sponsor this year, but you have to dye your mullet blonde again. So
can't argue with a few bucks extra cash, right?
Yeah.
Oh, geez. So how does this then, and Benny was asking me this beforehand, saying we should prop you up for this, but how does this tie into the Terry situation?
Well, there's actually there's a long backstory behind Terry. I'm sure you guys know. You guys know Jai Constantino?
Yes, I do.
So I was in America with Jai. Like we've spent a lot of time with each other. We trained Ross's program, and when we were about 17 years old, I used to stay at his place. And he was 18, he had his license. We used to go down to local 7-Eleven. And there was a fella in there, an Indian fella named Terry. This is where my connections come with India. And he used to hand us over free donuts at 12 o'clock at night, and his name was Terry. Then we all started laughing about it. Jai was working at a printing place, MB Custom Wear, and he one day at Ross's program, he rocked up to the track with a Terry t-shirt, like a jumper. And then everyone was like, oh, that's sick, you got to get us one. So we just started making a little bit of cash selling jumpers. And then all of a sudden it turned into this big thing. We started on Instagram, and it's stuck. So everyone doesn't really realise that, but Jai is actually like the second Terry as well.
Okay.
So it's just more stuck with me.
It definitely has stuck with him, right, Benny? Like everyone knows him as Terry. I don't know. I was trying to put two and two together.
Yeah, well, that's why I said instead of putting his name as Caleb, put it as Terry.
Well, he has to set that on his end for the cameras that come across for the Google, mate. He set himself up as professional Caleb for this one.
Yeah. But yeah, unfortunately, a couple of weeks ago, I decided I was sick of it when I cleaned it. It looks like a possum tail. And I was like, you know what? I'm just getting rid of this thing. I've had 3 years of having a mullet. That's enough.
Fair call. All right, well, let's get to some serious business, eh? We've got you on here for a reason. Not that there's, we can always bullshit on the side, but you went over and did that Indian Supercross League again for the second time with Big Rock Motorsport, and you've managed to come away again as part of that team that they've won the team's championship, I gather. And forgive me for my ignorance here, and Benny's probably got a little bit of the same problem here, but we haven't seen a great deal of it, and I don't have like a streaming service for it or whatever. I get some of the results, I see some tiny clips, but we don't understand how it works. So it's probably who best to ask than the man who's been there for 2 seasons now, yourself. So give us a little backstory. How'd you end up in there in the first place?
Well, it was so me and Mossy were on the same team when we were riding for Empire Kawasaki, and it was actually the first time I ever met Mossy.
Okay.
We were riding out at Chucky's place, and then he just got talking to me, and he goes, "Oh, did you enter for that Indian Supercross?" And I'm like, "No, didn't even know about it." And he goes, "Oh, I'd probably enter." So it's like the IPL. They sort of bid for you, like everyone can enter and sort of bid for you. So I entered with it, and then it turned out that me, Reed, Taylor, and Mossy and I got picked on the same team with Cedric Sabrise.
Yep.
So we ended up going over. We finished the season. First season I went over, I was pretty banged up. I just had that crash at Marvel. And yeah, that pretty much destroyed my whole shoulder. But yeah, we went over and took the risk of going over. Everyone thought, oh, look at these dickheads going and racing in India. But we're just like, you know what? Fuck, we got nothing to lose. Like, I wasn't racing outdoors next season. Matt wasn't. Reed was the only one. And, it was the most fun I've had racing, to be honest with you. Our team's awesome. Big Rock's awesome. The amount of effort they put in, and like, when we got there, like, I ordered a size medium jersey. This is just how much effort they put in. And it was like here. Like, that's what I wear. That's what it was like. And I'm just like, what is going on? I'm like, I need a bigger jersey. And then I asked for I was like, give me an extra large. And then it was like here. So I'm just like, they got it like
way too long.
Yeah, way too long. So I'm like, get every size. And they literally would have it done in an hour. Like, it sort of opens your eyes to third world countries, like I'm a pretty very anti-woke person, and, going over there, they just get shit done. They just want to...
I think we lost Benny just there. He's dropped himself out by the looks of it. So anyway, we'll keep going. But yeah, continue on.
Yeah. So they're all just like they just want to make a buck. You know, they'll do anything to make a buck. How it used to be. You know, they know what sex they are. They're not running around on the cat, on the furry. You know what I mean? And that's one thing I liked about that place is Indians are grinders. They just want to get shit done. The league's definitely going in the right place. They care about the riders a lot. They care about the safety. They care about how it's run. They listen to the riders. They listen to how we want the track. So it's very good.
That was one of my questions, but like from the first season to the second season, I gather a fair bit's changed in terms of their track side of things and the size of them, but it's not quite the same as, say, like rolling in the Marvel in terms of a track build across the whole floor of the stadium, is it? Like you sort of seem to be, at least from the couple of bits I saw, there's a lot more perimeter sort of style tracks than they weren't really out in the middle of, I gather, because there's a cricket pitch or something in the middle that they weren't allowed onto.
Yeah, that was more the Pune round.
Okay.
Because there was like around an athletics track. But the other two rounds, like we raced in one, I felt like we were racing the Coliseum. Like it was pretty cool. They were like two spec tracks. Like they were pretty gnarly, man. Like going out there on, you know, a dead stock, pretty much dead stock cow in. Everyone knows what a dead stock cow feels like. It was pretty scary.
Okay.
Just having to knuckle all these things out, and I find myself as a pretty good jumper. Like I seem to jump stuff pretty straight up, but you know, I was not used to that. Like
you probably just wanted a bit more power and a bit more confidence in the machine that you had underneath you, and it just wasn't there. But so they are like a full, like in terms of the build, like, you know, comparable jump faces, heights to what you would get here Australian Supercross wise.
Oh no, it was gnarlier than Australian Supercross.
Gnarlier, yeah, right.
Yeah, it was definitely gnarly. And it didn't help that a few of the rounds I pretty much had motocross suspension as well.
Not advisable.
Nah. So, but it was fun. Like our team worked with us a lot to make things happen, get the best we can out of the equipment we had. They were just the passion they had for the sport was just like, honestly, you wouldn't find that in Australia.
Yeah, nice. That's it's good to hear. So is this something that you're going to try and get a part of again? Like, how's this going to work for you moving forward? Because this time round for the second season, it was sort of almost not an afterthought, but like you filled an injury void, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was. So I had a pretty good season this season. It was probably my first actual season I come out injury free. And yeah, I come in pretty good. Raced a bit. I didn't really get the results I was sort of after as an individual. I feel like this season had a lot more faster riders. Like we were versing, like there was a 5-time French champ, or I think it was German champ or something in Supercross. A few American riders. Like there was, because what people don't realise is that we don't verse any Indians. We're an international class.
Yeah.
Indians have their own class. So yeah, we're racing a lot of Europeans and Americans. So there was one other rider in our class that was Australian, which was Jack Nunn this year.
Yeah, I saw Jack was a part of that too, and I gather Mossy probably told him about it a bit, that he should get involved with it as well. So, but yeah, like that is one thing that is definitely clear for them over there, is that the Indian have their own, like the Indian nationals have their own class. They're not mixed in with you boys. Obviously, you're a different level for them, but it's about promoting the sport by having both both classes, let's say, so that they do develop some homegrown talent. I gather eventually they want one of them or two of them to be in that international level and be in that international race too. So, yeah,
100%. I've seen some quite rather large crashes from them guys, and because they're like the India Asia class. There's like Thailand, Indonesians. There was some Koreans, Chinese. And man, I've seen some big crashes, and they just got up like nothing had happened. Like they just wanted to race, like their life was on the line. Like they were just like, no matter what was happening. Like our teammate crashed in practice. I'm pretty sure he cracked his bone in his wrist and didn't even know that he got knocked out. And then he chipped a bone off his hip, like a bit of bone off his hip. Had no idea, well, he might have, but just wanted to ride through it. Finished the whole round. Like if we didn't have that, we wouldn't have won that team championship. He didn't soldier on, and they just don't care.
Might be easier than falling off a train, eh, Benny?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
They're used to, like, they're obviously used to some harder labour and living conditions over there. So probably just to be a part of something like that probably doesn't happen too often for them. So yeah, they just want to get a part of it. What are your thoughts on this thing, Benny? Did you watch much of it?
No, I haven't seen any of it. I saw like the same thing on Facebook, on Instagram, probably more Instagram than anything. Probably I think I saw some of the crashes that he was talking about because some of them were floating around Instagram, TikTok and all that. But it is interesting. It's, completely different to what we have and what America have and anything like that. It's, it looks unreal with the, the size of the track. Like you said, they go around the outside. Some of the stadiums I saw is like just a track around the outside, nothing in the middle. So it's all very different.
Yeah.
Hey, Caleb, but like, is this something like, obviously, I think from season 1 to season 2, you already touched on a little bit there, but like you had plenty more people internationally interested in it because the class seemed to get a few more people, signed up for at least the auction side of things too. And obviously there's only so many rides that they could all be a part of it. It seemed like there was more people trying to get into it. Is it fixed on how many teams are going to be a part of this moving forward? Like it's always going to be like your Big Rock and then those couple others that are a part of it, or are they going to expand that at some point? Do you know?
I believe a rumour is that there is 2 Australian teams trying to get in for next season.
Oh, really?
I'm not able to say who, and I'm not 100% who, but I do believe there is 2 Australian teams trying to get in. Not 100% sure how true that is, but it was something I did hear.
Yeah, that'd be
pretty interesting, and that's pretty big. And it's got so much potential. Like if you watch that last round that we raced at and Calicut in Kerala, their opening ceremony, that was a sold out stadium, like 35,000 people there. But like their tickets are like $7 Australian to get a ticket, which is some people's weekly wage over there. But
well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It really is. Like it's but like their opening ceremony, honestly, was even some Americans said that's better than AMA.
Yeah, right.
It was insane. Like they had this. I don't even know his name. His name's Solomon or something. Like he's the biggest man in Bollywood. Like he has 72 million followers on Instagram, and they're walking him out. And they got like AKs with him. Like, and then like
it's legit.
He come out like he did like a speech, spoke like we shook his hand and stuff like that. And to them, like, he is huge. Like, so, like, bringing someone like that it's almost like bringing Chris Hemsworth to a Marvel.
Yeah, well, look, that's a good example. Chris might actually turn up one day because his son or his daughter is into the sport too. Yeah. But yeah, I get what you're saying, like a movie star level, right? Like, yeah, that's like that's cool. Like that they're that into it, and if they're putting that much effort into it, it's only going to grow. But I guess what happened this year in terms of you had to miss one of the Aussie rounds, if they can line this up a bit better with a few of these other series, obviously World Supercross is on, Australian Supercross is on, but the Indian League's now on at the similar basically points. If they can line this up, they will get a lot more attention from us looking at it too, because if it's not on the same weekends, our riders can go, but our fans can also watch from afar if they get a streaming thing in place for it or whatever. Like it could go international pretty easy, really.
Oh, 100%. It's really going to take off. I actually pulled out at the start of this season because I had contracts to race, just with sponsors. I had to race every round of Australian series. And then I sort of spoke with a few, and they'll end up being happy with me to miss what's it called, Adelaide, what was it, Sydney round.
Yeah, you missed the Cronulla round. Yeah.
That looked like an awesome round. Like, that looked awesome. I'm sort of spewing that I sort of missed that, but you know what? Got to race 2 more rounds and race around the world, doing what I love, and it's good.
Yeah, no, definitely. So what's on the cards for you now? Like, obviously we're sort of in between seasons and stuff, and I don't recall you being massive in the motocross in the recent years. Are we going to head outdoors at all in the Australian Nationals, or are we just running the business on the side for a few months here?
No, to be honest, I've always struggled with motocross. I don't find myself not as much as a motocross rider. And it's hard. I feel like getting sponsors in Australia for motocross is a lot harder. Mm-hmm. And even I spoke to a few like American guys, they said it's the same. Like it's so much harder selling something to a sponsor that's racing out in the middle of nowhere. You know what I mean? Like compared to Supercross, you're racing in stadiums, you're racing live TV, you're racing like everyone loves Supercross. You're so much closer to the action. Like they see more of a benefit from it. But to be honest, me right now, I'm honestly, I'm in my cycle mode right now. I love cycling. Like there's where I live is just unreal for cycling. Like there's so many like good cyclists that come out of here. I've actually just started a 3-month program for cycling yesterday. So,
not Tour Down Under aiming or something, are we?
No. There's a fella that used to actually race. His name's Joel Green. He's like a 3-time 450 like state champion. Like he was a top 10 guy.
Yeah,
you probably remember his name, Joel Green.
The name's ringing a bell, and I just can't place it. But yeah, keep going.
Yeah, so he lives just up here, and he's a gun cyclist. And he just wrote me up a program the other day. So yeah, it's just a good off-season sort of training, like build up that base. So then when I do start riding Supercross, you know, I don't really have to build up so much other than really strength.
Yeah.
Upper body strength. But I tend to get that back pretty quick. So it's just where I'm at right now. I'm still going to keep riding. Obviously, ride some outdoors, ride parks right down the road from me.
Yep.
I got a Supercross track at home. So then once it kicks into gear, pre-season Supercross, I'll get that going. We've got a pretty good crew like I had last year with Dean Wilson, Cedric, and Tiger Wood. And I've been speaking with Tiger, but he wants to come back down here. Train down here again. His main focus is Australian Supercross this year since he did his ACL.
Yeah, that was a bugger timing for him because it rode off basically the rest of it, the rest of this year pretty much until that point. So yeah,
and man, he was riding so good. Like he just looked so free on the bike, and so for his first year in Australia. Like I know he's done a bit, like lived at the dog pound with Alliances and did some of that the Supercross next, but to come and race in Australia and be that fast, that quick, that was impressive.
Oh yeah, definitely. For how young he is, you know, yes, very impressive first proper season and stuff. So yeah, you would expect that he's a title contender in that SX2 class for the Australian side of things, if he can be in the right position fitness-wise coming off the back of this injury, which he should be. He's got plenty of time, but everyone's different. So yeah, but no, look, you do have a good crew to train with down there for Supercross side of things. But are you taking them all into the Thrive Centre, mate, after the rides, or what are they doing there?
Yeah.
Are you getting Dino into a ice tub or something for those knees of his?
Yeah, we definitely get him down there. And, it was actually it was meant to be in one of his vlogs, and I stuffed it. I didn't know because that on YouTube, you know, the homologation stuff, and I made a video for him, and I didn't do the sound. I used some sound that I wasn't meant to.
Yep. Wonderful.
I didn't know that. Yeah. So, but yeah, we use that every day. So Dean literally lives like 15 minutes down the road from me when he stays at Eris's house. They got a track there, so he rides there, and then we ride mine a lot. We keep our group small. It's just, you know, when it comes to Supercross time and you got a track, you've all of a sudden got all these random friends that you haven't heard from in the whole season.
Surprising how that works, right?
Yeah, it's interesting. And so, yeah, I keep my circle small. I can't afford to, like, Supercross is dangerous enough as it is, and then you want people to come. I understand you, like, want people to come try, but it's just a big risk when it's on your property, and the sport's already dangerous enough as it is.
Yeah, no, it's always interesting watching someone brand new come to your place. Like I've got a track, I don't have a Supercross track, but I've got a track that we ride and stuff, and it's always interesting that first time you meet somebody and they're like, yeah, they're good. Like a mate is like vouching for them, and then you watch them go through and you're like, oh, I don't know about this. Like it just doesn't fill you with confidence, right? Like, but it's part of it to some degree. Obviously, I've turned up to some random's house as a friend of a friend and hopefully didn't look like that myself, but yeah, it does go around. But if you is particularly Supercross, you need to just make sure that it's in the right spot for you. It's obviously where you're making a bit of money out of it too. It's not just a hobby at that point. So different set of circumstances to go behind it.
Yeah, and Supercross it's a very different sport to motocross. A lot like it's very, your timing's got to be right. Like a lot of people think, oh, I can ride a dirt, I can ride a motocross. Like when you're at the top level, like you race your top national rider, yes, it transitions over pretty good. Like look at Prado, transition over Supercross very easy.
Yeah,
but he's a very, very good rider. But like for like your state level riders, stuff like that. Like it's a big transition. It's huge.
Yeah. No, that's
Very like I always remember our first day back after, riding motocross. Your first day back on Supercross is always the scariest day.
Yeah, I bet. Timing's got to be crazy off at that point. So, yeah.
I don't remember my suspension being this hard. That's always it runs for you.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, look, there's plenty to it. So, no, look, it's interesting. But, yeah, obviously you're going to get to sit around a little bit for a couple of weeks, spend some time on a cycle bike. I gather you said you got a business meeting here shortly we better get to. So, we might let you head off here, Caleb, but appreciate you being a part of the show tonight, man.
Yeah, awesome. I appreciate it, guys.
No, anytime, mate. You're welcome all the time. So, thanks for that, mate. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks, boys. See you later.
See ya.
All right, Benny, we'll jump back in here on just the two of us. Pretty good there. I think I'm going to get a little warning here from my call that's going to end on our Google Meet. So at some point I might have to reset this up, but we'll get to that if it cuts us off. All right, Benny. Supercross.
I think it's only if you have more than two people. I think we'll be right.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's decided that that's the standard rate going for the moment. But anyway, we'll see what happens. If it cuts you off, we'll get you back. I'll make a new one on the side as we go. All right, Super Motocross, man. What's been happening? You've been watching it. How was Houston for you? Triple Crown.
Yeah, it was good. I have said before that I'm not the biggest of Triple Crown fan. I'd rather just a normal main event, but it definitely produced some good racing, that's for sure.
Well, I'm with you on that too. From when it's like I've said this before on our shows, when it's the media side of things and you're trying to remember what happened in main 1 versus main 3 to build a story out and go, you finished overall here, but you finished 6-4-2 or whatever. Like, I can never remember what happened at the beginning of the night versus the end of the night, and it sort of all blurs in. So then I feel like that some of those stories get missed in that big scheme of things. But if you look at it from someone like Eli Tomac's point of view on the weekend, kind of worked out all right having 3 main events because he stuffed that middle one with that crazy crash.
Yeah, I think a lot of the time too, when you ask a rider, you did this, and this, they're like, yeah, I don't even remember either.
No.
We've had that plenty of times as well. So you sort of more just go off the last one, I guess. But for him, he was very lucky to even get to, that last one after that crazy crash, because it could have been a lot worse than what came of it.
Well, it was for a second there as he was flying through the air, and then the bike was sort of doing its cartwheel shit. I really was like, oh, there's the season. Like that was my initial first, like, holy crap, there goes the points leader sort of situation. So yeah, it's for him to get up, because at one point there, like obviously we were watching on the coverage from Australia. At one point they were like looking, and they had that they had like the points as they run on the bottom of the timing board there, and Tomac was off the bottom of the 16 positions that they were showing, and I couldn't tell if he was still circulating or not. And then he finally showed up and he was into 16th or something, and I was like, oh, he's still going. So for a good 2 laps there, I reckon, I was like, oh, has he DNF'd? Has he hurt himself? What's going on? Because they sort of didn't re-show him again after that initial replay. So yeah, it was weird.
Yeah, and I'd hate to think what that bike was actually like while he was riding it, considering they went to the spare bike for the last race. So yeah, that's another, probably not a lot of people have thought of that, but going to the spare bike, what was he riding in that second one? What was it like? Yeah,
and obviously like you can change bars out and straighten things and like loosen off the clamps and get things straight. But yeah, what are they worried that he bent? Did he worried he bent fork tubes, or has he jammed the shock so far up that it's bent a shaft or blown a seal or something? Like, it was a pretty crazy scenario. But for him to then just claim that he stabbed the rear brake as he was in that transition, I kind of believe, but I kind of also go, it sort of looked more like just a shock ejection at some point. So yes, momentum and obviously dabbing the brake will bring the front up down, but that much? I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, it's just not a... Tomac very rarely makes a mistake.
Not that big, right?
If he does make a mistake, it's not like that. It's a little tip over or something. So for him to, like you said, just hit the brake, Yeah, I don't know. I'm a bit the same. I'm not quite sure.
I wonder if that was his, a bit more. He's very good with his interviews in not blaming anyone or anything for a particular situation, good or bad. He just sort of puts it on to the work that he's doing, or that he needs to be better, or they're going to make a change for this or that. And I wonder if that was in reverse, and that was still last season when Chase was on a KTM, how that interview would have come across later in the night when they pulled him up for fourth, like as they did for Eli. And they said, so what happened? And if he had said, he would have just went, I don't know, we had a shock issue or something, maybe it's a different outcome for a different rider there.
Yeah, and then the other thing is too, like if Tomac was on a different bike, I don't think anyone bats an eyelid.
Well,
because we're on the orange bike and there's this magic ejecto-ceto button that everyone keeps talking about. If he's on another bike, I don't think anyone bats an eyelid.
Well,
because it's orange, I think that's why.
Other than that first thought that I said I had about that was his season over, the second thing that came out of my mouth was that's a KTM ejecto-ceto, cuz. And I just couldn't help it. It's just these are the things that you have built into you, and I've felt that KTM ejection ceto cuz button. So here we are. But anyway, it is an interesting one. But the Triple Crown format did save Eli Tomac's points lead, because particularly what he was able to do in that the third moto, by winning it and going, 3-13-1 or whatever it was, the first moto score. He salvaged really well to only come out of there with fourth. I thought for sure at that crash point, the points lead was going to Kenny or Hunter.
Yeah, and it changed so many times, but right up until that last lap, it was still, there was a chance for anyone to have it. So, like I said, it does produce good racing. Even throwing back to the Gold Coast World Supercross round, like all three races of those are really good. And if you're at the stadium, you would have got your money's worth. But just sometimes I think the main event is just a normal one is better, but it's good.
Yeah, look, I'm with you. I just think there's just too much for the general fans to be a part of. They're going to be excited, but they're not going to know what was what by the end of it. And if it's happening for you or I, and we're sort of, seasoned, fans watching this regularly, there's too much going on. I think they'd be better off just doing a two-moto format if they wanted to change something up. But here we are, we've got Triple Crowns. We've got a couple more to come up in the season. I think there's still, if we got the same number, 3 this year. I've got my little board here. There's there's 3 this season. So there's two still to come, which is going to be Indianapolis and Cleveland. So basically there's going to be one in March and then one in April. So we've got a bunch more, obviously traditional format, 20-minute motos and 15s for the 250s. But yeah, 2 more Triple Crowns, 2 to come on the East Coast. So we'll see how they play out. But I don't look forward to them, put it that way. Yeah.
I mean, even at the best of times, Supercross is the hardest sport to watch live. On the, if you're watching it on the TV, you're sort of just paying attention to what's on the TV. You might watch what's going on in the background, but if you're in the stadium, you don't know where to look. Like, you look at the riders, you look at the battle for 3rd and 4th, you look at the battle for 6th and 7th, then you hear the crowd on one side of the stadium make a sound, so you quickly look over there, then you've forgotten about where you're looking. Like, it's not the greatest sport to watch in person for that fact, but you'd miss so much if you're also not at the stadium.
Yeah, I actually said this when we were talking to the media liaison Bogdan at World Supercross about the Triple Crowns, like exactly what we said about it all. But when you're in the stadium too, it's even harder because they don't tend to update the fans as well as they do on the TV coverage about the overall positions for the night through each race. They might do what the overall person is talked about, but you know yourself, in a stadium with Supercross, hearing the commentators is almost impossible. And then watching the board at times, it's just a run sheet. It's not the combined totals usually. World Supercross did a reasonable job of that in Gold Coast, of trying to update that. But yeah, there's just so much going on. You can't keep track of it, particularly in a stadium. So yeah, look, hang in for a 20-minute race this weekend for a couple of reasons. One, because I think Eli will be good again in Glendale. But two, Hunter Lawrence, he's building something quietly here in 2026. These couple of runs of second place finishes, had he not fallen off in that first main in Houston, he would have been the overall winner. Hunter's got something going on here. If he can keep putting things together the way he has been, we could see a couple of race streak here. If he gets one, he could get 3 or 4 in a row. That's where I'm at with Hunter.
Yeah, and hopefully he just continues to just quietly build. Not, you know, if he gets one, then don't change how we're thinking about it. Just keep doing what the plan is and just keep going. It's, you know, it sort of showed in SMX last year, like the playoffs, the last few races of that. I think this sort of, what would you call it? This form sort of showed. And, you know, OzX wasn't too bad. And Paris and whatever, and then carried over to this year. Yeah, I think he's just got to keep playing it how he is, but I definitely think there's 1 or 2 coming.
Yeah, like I said, I think if he's just got to get the first one, and that could be this week for Glendale. It is a track that is familiar or has good results for Ken Roxon and Eli Tomac. If you look back through all of the races, I think they've got all of them except for one round, which I think was Cooper Webb. Oh, no, it was Blake Baggett. Maybe Cooper's got one in there as well, and the rest are then to Ken and Eli. But I do feel like Glendale, in terms of a patient throttle application and a good technique, would reward Hunter. So yeah, let's see. I'm going to pause our chat here for a second, Benny, because it is definitely going to kick us off the call. So I'm going to jump back to one screen. I'm going to re-invite you, and we'll get you back in here. And in the meantime, I'm going to read an ad as we do this. So I'll get this back onto myself. I'm going to boot you out of the call here, and we're going to end that, and we're going to start a new call. And we will go to, so we are obviously with the show too as well. We have our Technic Motorsport guys on board, and they are obviously looking for all your support, all your suspension needs to get you on board and sorted out. So tuners, if you're doing anything yourself on the side, they definitely will have all the components for all of the bikes that you will have in your garage, and that will get you hooked up, whether that's the oils, shims, springs. They have their own springs that they get made themselves. They're of the highest of qualities. And we're just admitting Ben back in. But yes, Technic Motorsport is the go-to place for genuine KYB, Showa, and other suspension internals, from seals to fork tubes to internal individual components, A-kit suspensions. Technic has it all. You can use the Find My Bike tool to match it up to your bike. If you're not in Australia, that's okay. Technic has a currency converter on their site, a shipping calculator, and they ship daily with DHL to most countries. So check out technicmotorsport.com. Benny, we've got you back in here. I'll just make one little adjustment here to my side of things, and then we'll be good to run here, and I'll get you back on screen. There we go. Hopefully now there's no time limit. It's just because we had Caleb on. I'm going to have to work that one out as well. More things to figure out for the AlwaysMoto side of stuff.
Always learning. That's all right.
Always learning. Always something else going on that I've got to figure out. Now, rest of this. I've written down a note for Cooper Webb. Cooper Webb hasn't had let's say it's not that bad of a start to the season, but it's not that great for a defending champ. But somehow he has this knack of just out of nowhere winning an event. And you wouldn't have thought he won the Triple Crown on a glance if you watched the coverage. But he did. He somehow ground out this result. Kenny had one bad one. Hunter had bad one. You know, Chase had 1.5 bad ones. Eli had one bad one. Cooper Webb just had a couple of 3 consistents, and here we go. He's got a point. He got an overall, and he's crept himself back into this title chase. Not completely yet, but he's creeping again.
And how close was it to not actually happening with that finish line jump?
Man, I don't know how he pulled that off. Like, I would love to see some footage of that bloody thing. And did he actually somehow, did he do something maybe a little bit shonky on that? Yeah. Like, did he mean to? Did he, how did he pull that off? Like, there's got to be, he was off track, right? Like, it's not that easy of a thing to, and I'm just fart-assing around here, but it's not that easy to get back on track and just get back to where he did in a finishing position.
No, and I've told the story on here before about I told my mate who's a Tomac fan that he was done. Nothing was going to happen. He wasn't going to win again. I thought that was the end of it. And then he went out, switched to the Yamaha and did what he did, and that's all shown. I literally said to him during the week last week, I don't think Webb has
you made a call, did you?
Yeah.
Shit.
I said, we were talking about it. I said, I don't think Webb has got anything this year in the way of, I think he can get the podium, but I don't think there's a win, and I don't think there's a title there. And then he turned around and did that. It's the same thing every time I tell him. So you just can't count him out.
No, you definitely cannot. But on that, the rest of my point that I put down was physically to look at the dude too. You don't see a professional athlete. Like, and no offense to him, I'm not picking on him. I'm not saying he's fat or he's chubby or anything like that. But if you walk up next to the dude in the crowd, you would not pick him out as being a professional athlete. He's a little bit shorter. He's a little bit stockier and just general build type. Athletes have this like molded, sculpted figure, right, at times. And I just don't pick that out from him. Even when he's in his race gear, he sort of doesn't have the same sort of defining build of like a Chase Sexton or an Eli Tomac when they're on the bike, right? And then because of that too, physically, his genetic makeup, I don't think he's going to have the biggest VO2 or, the ability to bust out the biggest deadlift, chest press, anything like that from a weights in the gym side of thing. But it doesn't seem to matter to him. He still beats these guys, and sometimes easily, and sometimes from the last minutes in a fitness endurance aspect. So kudos, I'm very impressed.
Yeah, and you only got to think back to all those races that him and Kenny had where he pretty much pipped Kenny at the end every single time. Just the will and determination and the fitness to get that done every time. And yeah, all these years later, he's still just doing it to get it done.
Yeah, crazy, really, just crazy. So yeah, well done. But like I said, fitness and stature wise, you wouldn't pick him out as the one that's the one of the best in our sports. But anyway, here he is. 250 side of things. I'm just about ready to put the 250 West on snooze control, mate. Hayden Deegan is just whooping up at this point.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same old story. I think he's definitely improved in Supercross this year. I think I've said before that he's not, maybe even before the season started, he still needs to show me something. But I think he's definitely improved in that area of, just like he got the starts. He's doing everything he needs to do, and the speed, especially on that track on the weekend. There's just no one that's got anything for him. No,
he's definitely pulling those sorts of things together, as he should at this point in sort of his career trajectory. But you still then have to wonder, there is still a little bit of a question mark of a few things in Supercross, and will they be shown up in 450 side of things? We'll have to wait, obviously, until 2027 Supercross. But he's going to have the same sort of plan here as what Jet Lawrence did a couple of years back, where this break that he's about to get to, and this break is actually going to work in his favour with the way the schedule is this year compared to what Jet Lawrence had even. But these 6 races that they've started as West off the bat, and I've just got my little notepad here again with my schedule pasted in the front of it, but they're going to go east for 3 rounds in a row. Then there is an east-west, but then they're going to go another east and then an east-west, and then there's another 1, 2, 3 rounds in a row of east. So he's going to have massive chunks of time to be 450 outdoor testing, and potentially without, if he does a good weekend this weekend and next, potentially no pressure on him from a championship point of view either. Could be a really good lead-in for him into 450 outdoors by last weekend in May.
Yeah, it's a lot of time on the bike, a lot of testing, and the 450 is a different animal. So, we saw him at the Gold Coast on the 450. Was definitely needs more time on it for Supercross. So yeah, I'd say they'd be planning to get as much outdoor testing in and time on the track, to get him ready.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's gonna work in his favour. Like I said, the schedule this year being way more heavy split east to west and not so many interjected rounds, which is what they've had in the last sort of 5 years of the schedule. Yeah, this could be massive. Now, on Hayden, not so much directly on Hayden, but his mechanic Brent Duffy managed to make his way onto the AMA infringement list for this week, getting fined for hitting another rider with a pit board. Now, no context as to whether it was intentional, unintentional, who he hit. Was it a lap rider and he's trying to smack him in the face to say, "Hey, my rider's coming"? Who knows? Could have been completely by mistake. So, but yeah, just interesting that the mechanic's getting fined, and I don't know what that fine actually is in amount, but you would want to hope that it's not too much for some of these privateer mechanics, because they're probably not getting paid all that much either.
Yeah, and the pit board, like the mechanic area, was in the shit spot this weekend. It was it was not a great spot.
I get that they've got they're limited in where these can be, and obviously they don't want what happened to Joe Shimoda last year with getting broken fingers from getting hit with a pit board. But that's what you saw this weekend in terms of where the pit board position was basically identical to what happened with Joe Shimoda the last year, where they basically come out to that outside edge, and that's where the pit boards are getting hung out in their face, blocking their view of the track, essentially. We got to put those things in a different position, surely, to make this safer for both mechanic and rider, both ways. And also this weekend too, they were jumping over that tough block at the end of that rhythm lane, landing wider than the track, and then going straight past that mechanic section. That thing was a real nasty little setup of what could have potentially happened there.
Yeah, and I think the last time they had something like that, we saw Jet hit the tough block and actually come off. And there was a crash there with, I think, in the 250s or the SMX, the SMX next race. Yeah, I think there was a crash there. So it wasn't the smartest of choices there. Yeah,
there's some things that you look at and you shake your head and you think, I know that we've got limitations because we're in a stadium and we're building a track, and each week it's a different layout and we've got to come up with solutions each time, but surely there's a better way to put some of these these mechanic bits in there. And is this, they were rumoured to have been doing, in-helmet communication systems this year, but I haven't seen much in the way of that so far. But is this a reason to then get rid of pit boards and do the in-helmet communication from a safety aspect as well, that we've just been talking about? Not just the obvious safety aspects of there's a red flag or there's a down rider in section 3 or whatever of the track. This one for the mechanic's safety as well as the rider direct safety as well. Like we're hitting a few birds with a single stone here, not just two,
Yeah, and I think it's a good idea. Like you said, it takes away from any possibility of getting hit. So, and along with everything else. So, I know, I think, was it Adam Bailey shared something for the Australian Supercross? They were testing some stuff. So
he's been on it.
So it'll be interesting to see if we get it in our series this year. But yeah, I think it's needed.
It is needed. I think we're going to see it in Australian Supercross this year. If Adam Bailey's been teasing it, and that was December, I think that post was, or very early January, one of the two, that he was teasing that he was trying it personally. And obviously Adam's, a privateer pro rider from years back. That was how he got into this originally. He's just like everybody else. He's a moto guy at heart. He rode as a kid and all that sort of stuff. So he's testing it out himself to see if he can figure it out. So yeah, with the time we've got between now and say October, when it's going to be race season for Australian Supercross, I'd be surprised if it's not. But I would like to then see that cost of these items not being pushed onto the riders and crews as such. Like, this should be a thing that if the series wants to make them available, or for use them for safety purposes, that it's a serious cost, not a rider cost. Or maybe there's a small $10 fee or something added to the entry fees for everyone that would then globally cover it across the series, but not an outright, you have to buy your own sort of situation. But we'll see.
Yeah, and I think that way too, do they then look after it, take it to each round? Because you can't trust riders to make sure it's charged and ready to go for the next round, with travel and whatever else. So there's a few things they probably need to work out there. Yeah,
well, maybe, and look, we can cross over here. Grab your phone, mate. Grab your phone, because maybe they could quad lock their phone to the handlebar, and they could just flash up some things on the screen, or project it into the Cardo system on the thing. But yeah, Chucky, the limited edition quad lock Chucky case is what we've got going here. You were lucky you got one. I didn't get one. I got one of the regular ones because my phone doesn't have the mine's a Google Pixel here, and it's an older one, unfortunately. I'm probably 3 to 4 years behind in tech these days, so I just got the regular one, which I'm about to show you guys. I'm just grabbing my phone now as we speak. But yeah, I got that one, stuck my logo on it because I didn't get a Chucky logo. I would have loved the Chucky logo, but here we are. I sent the good ones to the working men of AlwaysMoto. So you got one. The other mate who does a few bits, who's going to do a few bits for me, is got the other Chucky one. And Jen and I, who do all the photos, and as Jen was here before when we're trying to test all this stuff, supports me immensely. My wife, my lovely wife. We both got the plain ones just to stick our stickers on. But yes, they are fantastic. But you could stick it to your handlebar. I wonder if these things would stay on a bike on a Supercross track. I'm not going to hit Supercross whips because I don't have any. But maybe.
I don't know. Your enduro track could throw some obstacles up that would test it out.
Well, yeah, I don't obviously have a quad lock on the Stark Varg EX at the moment, but I do have a Arkenstone phone on the dashboard of that thing. And if you don't clip that in correctly, I haven't caught it properly on video yet, but I have had the phone go flying out from the handlebars and shoot down the track, and think to myself as it's floating along, how much is that going to cost me? It so far hasn't broken, but it is a warning that you do have to push that last little bit of the clip in all the way, and don't let the kids play with the phone in between when they're trying to check out your stats from your ride so far. So yeah, that's my other hot tip with the Stark and the Arkenstone dashboard. Don't let the kids near it. Anyway, but all right, next thing, let's talk Glendale this week. 20-minute mains is back to normal programming here, but that track map and all the track maps at the moment, one, they're not the same by the time they come to build time. There's Supercross triples on all of the tracks. We've lost them since round one, basically. But there was meant to be, the finish line was a Supercross triple for San Diego and the weekend just gone in Houston. Never a word that was changed. There was just a double like normal. There is no Supercross triple on this weekend's track map at this stage. Maybe they put one in and they changed something. I don't know. But I feel like that's a knee-jerk reaction to that Mookie Barsha crash. But the thing I want to bring up with Glendale, and maybe this is a graphic image thing and it's a bit of a optical illusion, but Glendale is a massive floor space. It's the biggest stadium they go to in the States for the AMA series. The track map uses 3/4 of it. What are we doing, guys? Order some more dirt.
Well, we've had this conversation about Marvel, haven't we? It's the
same. Order some more dirt, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, if you've got the room, there's, there might be things that we don't know behind the scenes, like, how much they can put in. But from us looking at it, like, it's, we want to see the whole thing filled up.
Well, if you think to like Wollongong's an example in past years. If we go to AMA stuff, we go to like, is it Detroit? Pontiac back way back, but like even like the Coliseum and stuff when it was just Supercross, they go into the stadiums and they wanted more floor space, so they took seats out and used stadium area to make tracks better, bigger and longer and more interesting for TV and for the fans and for the riders. Now we're just like, no, let's see how small we can make this thing on the biggest floor space we got. I feel like we've gone. The wrong person is in charge of putting the dirt into the building, sort of thing. Like the focus is on a different area now. It's not on how cool can this track be.
Yeah, well, you look at Marvel, they push the chairs out to the track. So there's all that room that could be used, and we're not using it. And I think that, we're sort of going away from the Glendale thing, but that Marvel track has been sort of big, then small, then big, then small. Like it's always different. It's never sort of the same size. So yeah, there's obviously it's all right one year, and then what are they doing the next year? So they need to fill it up. They need to make it bigger, and the tracks are so you can pretty much pick what they're going to have each round, each year. Like it's the same thing. There's no, now we've gotten rid of a few obstacles that they don't want to use anymore. They're just taking the exciting things out, and it's, just same every week.
Yeah, I gather there's some things that they're trying to do with the tracks, and definitely modifying in an inappropriate manner to try and make safety happen. 9 whoops, dragons backs missing, taking out the Supercross triples. They're just not. Maybe their design department needs to put a bit more effort in. I think if we touch into Marvel again, I know we're off what we're trying to talk about here, but Marvel is sort of fitting into the same picture. Marvel is very different because it does have that underground car park underneath it, and they obviously have to prop up the floor from an engineering standpoint to hold the additional dirt that gets brought in and the machinery that gets put on top of it to move said dirt around. In saying that, if they can do that in the middle of the floor of that place, surely they can do that for the rest of the floor of it and cover the whole damn thing, because that would be sweet. I know there's limitations in Australia from insurance point of view, obviously with distance to the fence or the edge of the venues, playing surface to the crowd areas and stuff, but yeah, man, geez, I want to just walk in and be like wowed by a floor space, and I don't think that's going to happen here in Glendale either. But it would make the track work better. They end up with these dicky little. There's one particular one they've done the same sort of layout the last 2 seasons that I can think of, at least with the Glendale one, where that big end zone section where they've got the start the start gates this year, they have a little elbow in the outside lane to sort of tuck into the grandstand that juts out there at a 90 degree, just a little angle, and that basically makes that section of track one line, because everybody's going to jump to the inside and float along through that rhythm. I don't know why they don't turn that one around short and just have a 180 berm there, go back down that length, and when they come back the next way, go all the way into that section and then have the corners out there, so that you don't have this tiny dicky little elbow that is useless from a racing passing point of view.
Yeah, and again, like you said, who's designing it? Is it in the wrong hands? It's We'll see how it plays out on the weekend, see what it's actually like, but it's not ideal. No,
and look, on that mark, I vote for bring back Pastrana to design every single track that because that one in 09 at St. Louis was off its tits. It was great, but yeah, I reckon he should design all of them, but they'd have to pay him a bit more than they're probably willing to. But anyway, all right, next thing up on the list. the Super Motocross playoffs. We touched on this last time, Benny. I brought up about the venues where they're going, that historic Crew Stadium in Columbus, Ohio, the Dignity Health Sports Park in Los Angeles, the Thunder Ridge Nature Park in Ridgedale, Missouri. That one was the weird one that was like the outdoor concert venue that I was not sure how that was going to work. I gather you've seen him because I've seen him. They've brought out track maps for these things. Now, we're just talking track maps for Glendale and not being stoked with it. I am very underwhelmed by the track maps that they've put out for these playoffs, particularly the first two that are in a stadium arrangement, and we are going nowhere but on the floor of the stadium. There is no external upper stand, out of passageway even, and do a U-turn like they did in St. Louis. Nothing. It's all on the floor of the stadium. That's not Super Motocross. That's just a Supercross to me.
Yeah, I think they've just completely gone away from the idea of mixing the tracks up. The first year we had Supercross without whoops, more of an outdoor track, and then more of a Supercross track again at the end at the Coliseum. But, even last year they weren't great. And now it seems that we're sort of just more focused on, just in a stadium rather than, doing something out there, something that a playoff is meant to be. Yeah,
it's meant to be unique and kind of challenging because we've taken away, no offense, but the lesser skilled guys from the privateers, because we're only supposedly taking that top 20 that have pre-qualified in and the next 10 best sort of thing as LCQs. So we're getting less track wear, we're getting less, only the really high skilled guys on it, so they should be capable of doing bigger jumps, more technical jumps, etc. Yet these tracks they don't do it for me. These things are not interesting. We want a playoff series that attracts people in to buy the TV package, to watch and buy tickets and be there in person. This just, I don't know. Particularly this Thunder Ridge thing, I don't know how it's going to look, but I don't know how you watch that one well from just, you're going to have to take a camp chair and sit on this grassy hill. Like, I don't know how that works. I don't know what they were going for. Obviously, it fits in with the Bass Pro shop sponsorship. Outside of that, I'm not sure why we're doing it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's different, but I guess, come time we'll see how it works, and if it doesn't work, I'm sure they're going to hear about it because, there's already, some talk about what they're like, and then it gets to the time people are going to spend their hard-earned money on it, and it's not great. And, the Supercross community are pretty vocal when something they don't like happens. I'm sure they'll hear about it. Yeah,
I bet they will. So I'm interested to see when it gets there how this all plays out. But for now, that's my basically that's a Dave diatribe, that one, isn't it? I haven't got that one in the segment as such, but it's pretty much I was just having a whinge. So anyway, we'll see how that one plays out when it comes around. I'll be watching that one on the TV. So, all right, let's jump into some emergency department updates. Now, I still haven't made a video for the intro. I'm slack ass over here. But so the audio people listening are going to think everything's normal, but the ones on YouTube, especially the ones watching live, just going to sit here and watch us. They're going to hear it, but they're going to see our ugly faces through the whole thing. I'll get a video one soon. I promise, guys. The emergency department. All the injuries, all the gory details, and when they'll be back on track. It's the list you really don't want to be on. You don't want to be on the list, but this list is insane so far in 2026. It's probably not quite up there of what 2022, I think it was. I'd have to check my notes, but there was one season about 3 years ago that was absolutely insane. We had over 120 injuries total for Supercross. We had 90-something last season, which is an average. I say it like lightly, but that was an average list. So far, we're cranking through these things. But one thing I wanted to point out, I got some things to note straight off the bat here. In the 450 class alone, if we're just talking to guys that qualified in the main event at A1, we've already lost 6 of those by the time we get to Glendale this weekend. It's 7 if you include Jet, who was out before the season even started. So we are down 7 decent riders of our factory level, 100% making the main sort of situation level guys. one or two more injuries in this class, and we're at the point where the floodgates are opening for healthy privateers to get career best finishes. It's not good so far.
No, and then it makes it hard for Pop Max Fantasy as well.
Our little bootleg fantasy league made Pulp MX the other day too. It was going around. We put it on the socials. That was kind of cool. Obviously, Pulp was in Australia, and he chatted to our man Ben there in part of this press life that he was going through, and found out that we have a little bootleg league on an Excel spreadsheet thanks to our man Lachlan.
Yeah, so, Ben Dillaway, who runs around for AME, AusX weekend, he mentioned it, Steve, and then when I got up to the press box, he's like, oh, this is the guy I was telling you about. And then, we were talking about it, told him that Lachlan had actually talked to Travis and organised it and whatever, and he was cool with it. Then for it to be on Moto 60, that was pretty cool too. All these injuries are making those picks rather difficult, because you're starting to have to go further down the list, and you're not real confident on them making it or not making it, or it's an interesting go. And I've had an absolute shocker. I'm dead last in our bootleg league. It's embarrassing, but anyway, we'll move on. But the injury list side of things is horrible. Don't know what they're going to do to solve this. We're just talking about the track designs and making things difficult and taking out Supercross triples and whatnot. I really don't think those are the answer. I had this conversation with somebody on our YouTube channel this week, Benny. They commented on my video about the injuries heading into the past weekend and saying that they couldn't believe how many were happening. And I was like, well, yeah, but it's the speed of things. Like he was saying that, back in the 80s, because he was a long-time follower of the sport, they didn't seem to have that many injuries. I said, yeah, well, they were going slower. They weren't jumping as high. When they're coming down off these things, or they're coming into a section, they're going faster, they're going higher. So when you come off, they're the same sort of body compositions as they were back then, as in the 80s as they are now. Nothing's changed from a human body standpoint. But if you fall off faster, or you fall off from a higher point, chance of you breaking something is a lot higher. Yeah, and that track on the weekend was very fast. So it's, we've all, especially you know what it's like to fall off at speed.
Yeah, thanks for reminding.
You fall off at speed, and that's, if you got to be very lucky for nothing to happen. But half the time something does happen, and it's the speed. Yeah,
it definitely is. I said it the first whole lap I saw of the weekend's track at Houston. At Houston, sorry. I was like, damn, that track looks fast. Nobody really mentioned it. They're all like, oh, it's a good track. It was a good flowing track. I'm like, yeah, but it looks fast. Like, I didn't understand why it was so fast. Why it needed to be so fast, built that way. Again, it comes back to the design. On that bit you've just mentioned about myself, I'm going to tell a funny story for a minute. When we were in Queensland, I don't think I told you, Benny, when we were in Queensland for World Supercross, we went to a barbecue with some friends that we know from the scene, and one of them had a crash recently on an adventure bike ride. Right, so he's riding along down Fire Road, kangaroo shoots out, takes out his front wheel, eats shit, bike this way, him that way. Didn't really see it coming, just saw the flash of the roo at the end, and then obviously the roo was dead because it was underneath and wedged into the front of the bike, basically, so they had to pull the thing out. Anyway, he says to me, 2 or 3 nights later, he's back home, wakes up in the middle of the night, he's just replayed the whole crash, right? And he's telling the story like he's having PTSD, and he goes, oh, look, it's all right, it hasn't happened again since. And I turned around to him and I just straight off the back go, oh, it'll only happen 10 or 12 more times. And he looked at me, and you can see him processing. And he's like, oh, fuck. And he realised, because I've obviously had the big one that you're referencing there, that not everybody probably realises. That anyone new to the channel, I had a massive one a couple of years ago. But yeah, I was just joking that that flashbacks of things will only happen 10 or 12 more times. It still happens every time you bring it up. But anyway, thanks for that, mate. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it does happen.
I know how much you enjoy talking about it.
I fucking hate. I had that whole spiel that I did in one of the episodes when I first came back after being away for a while. But Yeah, I don't like bringing it up too often. I just pushed it out of the brain. That's how I deal with it. Just forget it's even there.
And mind you, those listening, there was radio silence for like 6 weeks. I thought he was dead.
Yeah.
There was no contact. There was nothing.
I was
thought,
attached to more
"He's
machines
dead."
and drug drips in a hospital than I care to count for the first 2 of those weeks, right? Like, I didn't have my phone. I didn't have my glasses even. I wear contacts for anyone wondering why I don't have them on now that I've mentioned that. So I couldn't even watch the freaking Wimbledon that was on the TV screen that was 2 meters from my face because I couldn't see it. So I had no chance. And that was in COVID too. So yeah, anyway, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But yes, I was pretty much dead there for a couple of weeks. So we're here now. All right, moving on.
It's all right. It happens to everyone.
Yeah.
You got to have a crash at some stage.
Yeah. So I do know what I'm talking about when I talk about these injuries. One, I've been through them. 2, I'm a physio. All right, out for Glendale. News today. We shared it in the group chat. Anyone who's not part of the group chat, want to be a part of it, send us a message. We can get you in there on Instagram. But we shared it today. Cade Clayson put up a story. He's broken his collarbone after finally making his first main event for 2026. Didn't last too long. Broke collarbone. He's out. He's trying to get himself a surgery, it seems, but obviously the cold weather or the snow over there is making things a little bit difficult for him. But that's going to be at least 4 to 6 weeks before you see him back. So he will be back probably before the end of the season, but he's not going to be in the greatest of positions at that point. He's going to have to hope that the injuries stay that way and don't come back too soon, because otherwise he'll be coming back with a bunch of people and then his fitness will be no good, and making mains will be rather difficult at that point for him. So we'll have to see how it plays out for him. But yeah, not a good situation with Cade Clayson. Dylan Swartz, we're hearing a fracture. Have you seen any more on Dylan Swartz? Because I'm waiting for the team PR that's meant to due out soon, but we don't have any detailed information on the Bar-X Yamaha rider.
No, it was nasty though. Nasty crash.
Yeah, come up short on that triple section in a rhythm and just end for ended, and then the bike followed him up basically. So yeah, didn't look pleasant. Yeah, it's never pleasant having a bike try to pile drive you into the ground that you're already laying on. So yeah.
And going back to that tarmac crash, it was that
similar
same thing could have happened. Yep,
similar sort of front flipping, but the bike caught Dylan, whereas Ferrari just missed him. So yeah. Austin Faulkner, the Triumph rider, that press day crash looked nasty. A similar forward, flipping thing again. Hand fracture for Austin. Now, this is where this team PR is either BSing us or they don't know, because when they write that he's going to be 2 weeks in a cast and see how we go from there, oh my God, that's a load of BS, because a fracture, as everybody should know, even a hand bone is 4 weeks. Small bones can be 4 weeks recovered. So 2 weeks in a soft cast and we'll see how we go. He ain't going to be recovered by that point. Let's just write that we're going to be taking week by week and see if he can tolerate the pain of the injury to make his return or not. Let's just not write down that he's in a soft cast, because he will be in a cast of some description. Cast is the wrong word too, by the way, these days, Bernie. I don't know if you've noticed this, but you don't actually get put in a cast too often anymore. You're always in some sort of removable brace.
Yeah, well, I may as well now say a story about me crashing.
Throw yourself under the bus. Here we go. Good. It's all personal stories tonight.
Yeah, throwing myself under the bus. When I broke my arm at a mate's track, I had pretty much a full cast. I couldn't get it off. I had to cut it off. But it was 2 weeks and then into the plastic molded one.
Yep. Yeah, it's not something that gets used too often anymore. It's got to be something a bit more obscure to end up in a plaster or fiberglass cast. Those days they're not gone completely, but they're dwindling. So yeah, it's very much more these plastic immobilizing braces that you get put into to allow you to have more movement and more easier care of the injury and wound sites, because a lot of that goes with surgeries these days. We're having more surgeries for fractures than we ever did in the past, and I've just somehow managed to bump my camera. That's interesting. But yeah, so just, yeah, the PR, I don't know what they were on about, but anyway, we'll see what happens. Caden Minear, oh, what a story. Wins the SMX Next in Anaheim. looking good in the practice and whatnot for them in Houston. Gets caught up in another rider's crash, concussion, out for the night. Shitty situation for the Aussie.
Yeah, it's pretty disappointing. Like you said, one last weekend, or 2 weeks ago, and then for that to happen is it's not ideal. Bit of a weird post though for him to put out. Like, don't know what happened. And then his mum's there saying he's concussed. Like, why not just, why not just say the same thing?
I love the fact that these posts are coming out at times, and even Plessinger's conversations last week with media interviews that then are, public out there, and questioning how he passed the concussion protocol. And obviously I spoke about that on my video for the lead-in for last week, but that was a weird-ass situation. Like, you shouldn't be passing it, then joking that you passed it and pulling out because you didn't feel right. And in this case, obviously mum, no offense to mum, but she probably didn't know that she probably shouldn't have posted that up. She was just probably trying to tell friends and family. But she's got a lot more people following her than just friends and family these days. Obviously Caden's a well-known Australian rider these days, so she's got a lot of hangers-on media people, us, watching and following her. And so, to put that up, and for him to put up something completely in the middle there, let's say, neutral, we got some crossed information, which was kind of funny.
Yeah, but, I guess for us and, the group chat and everything else, it's posted in there, at least we know. You're sort of not left and you see his post and you're like, I don't know what happened. Yeah. But I'm out. At least there's some, at least we do know. But there might have been a little chat with her after that.
From the team crew there, something, Will Hahn or somebody coming in telling them, no, let's not post that stuff until we know what's going on.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's the emergency department updates at this stage, but there's obviously a lot more people off and out already. We're covering a bunch of those things in our videos on YouTube, trying to do them each week before each round, coming out on Fridays Australian time. It'll be Thursday in the US time, so we'll get another one of those later in the week. But that's the emergency department updates. Next on the list, it's Stark Varg talk time, Benny. You're probably going to start hating this segment when we get to it a few more times over the next few weeks. But, yes, the Stark Varg EX is fantastic. We've had it now for a couple more weeks. Funniest part of all of this, and the part that I love the most, you'll never guess what it is. It's not the fact that it's an electric bike, and not the fact that it's super easy to ride. It's the fact you can go in reverse.
That was going to be what I was going to say.
I've fallen in love with the fact...
If we're starting a YouTube video with you reversing, that's got to be the favourite thing.
Oh, man. I don't know why, but I've fallen in love with that feature. The amount of times you are parked somewhere with the bike, you ride up to a group of mates, you're in a bunch, or you ride up to some spot and you park next to a tree or whatever, or a fence, and you've got to just wiggle the bike backwards normally. The fact you can just hold that button, change the mode to reverse crawl, and just beep, 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 back your way out. It's fucking great. It's so cool. I don't understand why this is making such an impact on me, but that part is cool. And then the other part that I've figured out too now, one, I put it in our first impression video, was the loading the bike in backwards. But when you are absolutely fatigued at the end of a ride day, and you've got that, oh no, I've got to push the bike in and I'm going to get dirty again because I've changed out of my clothes and everything, and it's going to be a hassle. The fact you can just back it in or crawl it forwards in, do it depending which way you're loading it, in your trailer or in your ute or whatever. Oh man, it's a game changer for that end of day effed moment. It's so cool.
Yeah, well, for me, I used to have to put it up in the back of my ute, and by that time, you're just like, I cannot be bothered.
Yeah.
So it'd be good.
This thing is so cool to put in backwards into the trailer when we're loading it, and it makes that part of the job so easy. I wish you could put something like that on every bike, because everyone needs it. It's so good. Any vet riders out there would be just loving this feature. So yeah, it's something crazy that they've done. I don't think they realized what they were doing when they were doing it, because they just knew that they could. But what it's done from my point of view of it is just sensational. So yeah, look, I'm pretty impressed by that side of things. The other thing that you got to watch out for, I put up a post. I don't know if you saw this one. The haters are going to hate until they ride it. The picture of the wheelie. Jen got a pretty good image of me doing that wheelie. I will say that. I did purposely look over at her because I saw she was with the camera, and I thought, we'll see if we can get this. But everyone who gets on this thing instantly, holy crap, this thing's awesome, as they're riding past full noise. And you can hear them talking to you. That's the other part that's weird. But they're all falling in love with it instantly. The bike wants to be ridden. It's easy to be ridden. And as soon as you get on it, you're like, oh, why did I not get on one? Why did I hate on this thing beforehand?
Yeah. And I don't know why you would hate on it anyway. Like, it's new and it doesn't have fuel or gas if you're in America, but it's something new. It's like completely different to anything else we've had. You know, just try it. See, you know, if AlwaysMoto HQ wasn't 9 hours away, I would have already been there to try it.
Yeah, that's a downer for you in this scenario. But yeah, it's funny because I think a lot of people just hear the battery range aspect and just switch off, right? And that's fair. Not every product is meant to be used in every scenario. Like, you don't take ice skates to the skate park down the road that's concrete and think that they're going to work, right? Like, it's just not what you do. So I get that, like, taking a Stark Varg, whether it's the EX or the MX, and taking it to like a Stockton beach and trying to do motos on it is probably a dumb idea if you want to go there and do 5 30-minute motos. It's not going to make it without, you know, recharging it. And obviously that's difficult in itself because you can't just fuel it up out of a jerry can and continue on. There is some limitations, but if you know what you're applying it to and how to manage your recharge aspects via a generator or via a house outlet if it's nearby enough, you can have a hell of a lot of fun on this thing. This thing is awesome. So anyone who thinks that you should just wipe them from the face of the planet and just hates on them, you're dead wrong. Put your ass on one. It would change your opinion in an instant.
Yeah, and like, I've ridden a mate's one, only around his backyard, but even just that, it's just a completely different feel. The no sound, like, everything is just, you know, it's weird, but it's, you know, it's different and it's cool.
Yeah, well, I was doing some the bit with the no sound. Like, it's still got a noise. Obviously, you get this like whistly sort of zing from the motor as it's going. Anyone who's ever used any sort of electric motor, you'll be familiar with the sound. But I didn't realize how much it doesn't impact your video when you're doing like helmet cams and stuff, because obviously I'm doing some different footage for some upcoming videos here. So I went and did I did a bunch of laps, but 2 laps with helmet cam on the weekend. I did one, and I mean, like, it's a 20-minute lap I did, right? So I was trying to get a lot of footage so I can use it in a lot of different scenarios. But I did one with the whole view looking back at me and one with it facing out, right? And on the first lap with the one looking at me, I went into a section and I just pushed the front just a little, dabbed the foot, stood it up, kept going. And I go, oh shit, almost ate it there. And I was watching it back today. I could hear that clear as day come through the audio. And I'm like, whoo, gotta be careful what I say.
Yeah, that'll be, you know, that'll be one of the things that you'd have to be careful, but would also, you know, I guess that's good in a way, because sometimes you listen to it and the bike's too loud. So I guess in a way it's, you know, that's a good thing.
Yeah, well, for anyone who wears earplugs while they're riding, you don't have to anymore on a Stark. Like, there's no point, right? There's a lot of things that change with it. But so far, everything that I've done with it, it's more than capable of getting enough ride time for me in the scenarios that I've put it through. Yeah, I'm not going to probably take it to a cross-country race that's 3 hours long and expect to finish without having some major sit time with a generator or change the battery over, which obviously I'm not going to be able to do at this point. But yeah, in the right riding scenario, fantastic. So get yourself on one. If you're nearby to me, message me, come and have a ride on one. I've got one. We'll put you on a test ride. So, and we'll see how long it takes for you to buy one. I've actually got 2 of my mates who are the first 2 to ride it. They've already purchased their own ones. So it's that good. And like, I didn't sales pitch them or anything. I said, yeah, have a go. and showed them what it was capable of, and they were like, oh crap, it's awesome. So yeah, that's simple. Cool. Benny, we do have to, I don't know how we're going to do this, but we have to get you up on some of these bikes at some point. Like,
that's all right. Just fly me up and come pick me up.
Yeah, it's still a fair drive for you to an airport, isn't it? It's like,
well, no, if I can go to my airport here, it's only 15 minutes, but then I got to fly to Sydney, and Sydney to wherever.
Sydney to Melbourne or Sydney to Brisbane to fly back to Newcastle. Yeah, that's going to make a heap of sense. Yeah. Anyway, we'll get that sorted at some point.
I'll fly to Sydney, and then you just come pick me up.
Pick you up in Sydney.
From Sydney, yeah. On a day you got to work there or something. You know?
Yeah, we'll tee it all up. Yeah.
There is a train. There is a train, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. Actually, we'll put your ass on a train. It costs less.
Yeah.
Oh, funny. All right, well, how are we watching the racing this weekend, Benny? We're on the Super Motocross Video Pass, of course, but do you remember what times it is? You've been making these little images for us. Do you remember the times this weekend for Race Day Live?
Should be 4:30 for Race Day Live, and then 11 a.m. So next 2 weekends are both the same times, and then I think after that it'll be a different time. Yeah,
of course, these are Australian Eastern Daylight Savings times that we just mentioned in there, so check for yourself, but that should give you a reference point as to what they will be if you're in Australia. If you're in the States, you're watching on a completely different platform and probably at a completely different time, because obviously ours is Sunday morning that we're talking there as well. So, but I actually worked out the other day, mate of mine was over. I've been casting it from my phone to my TV. Mate of mine's over and he goes, why haven't you downloaded the app onto the TV? And I'm like, there's an app on the TV? Apparently you can get it on the TV too. So
yeah, you need to have an Android TV and it's in the Google Play Store.
Yeah, so I didn't realise this, but I have that and I got it set up. So I was like, that's actually quite handy. So
yeah,
I can
my TV doesn't have it, which is annoying, so I still got to cast it. But yeah, I actually saw someone in the group chat said, oh, the TV app works better than casting it. And so that actually made me go and have a look. And yeah, I know that it's on the Android TVs, but yeah, I don't have it on mine.
Fair enough. But yeah, it was actually quite good. So yeah, I thought I'd mention that because it was something I didn't realise at the time and now am doing differently. So, but yeah, you do have those options to do it via that Super Motocross Video Pass, which is cool. All right, weather updates for Glendale this weekend. It doesn't really matter. It's a dome. There's a roof. So it is, I think that one's retractable if I'm not mistaken, but it is Arizona. It barely rains as it is. So won't be a problem, but it is going to be 13 to 20 degrees Celsius and partly cloudy. So a bit warmer than Houston from all reports that I got from people there. They looked rather warm in Houston, Benny.
Yeah. There's a few jackets on though. So it'll be interesting, where the crowd, you look at the crowd or you look at the riders. So yeah, I think it'll be a bit different.
Yeah, did you see, I don't know if you would have seen it, but because I'm obviously on all these Stark Varg things lately, there was a guy on a Stark Varg that put up some photos in New York City on the Varg going for a ride, and he was in like Times Square and stuff on the Varg, in where the people would normally be, but it's all snow. And he's just got the Varg parked in there. He's just ridden into Times Square. Looks wicked.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, be absolutely awesome to do that. I mean, I'm sure you get away from the cops pretty easy at that point too on the Varg. So if they question it shouldn't be there, sir. Excuse me, sir, can you move that? All right, upcoming events. We've got plenty of American Supercross coming up, obviously. We've got this weekend's race in Glendale, but we've got the following week, which will be round 6 in Seattle on February 14, before we start heading some East Coast race. We'll bring them up next time we're on the pod. New South Wales state titles, they are open for entries at the moment. It's kicking off the weekend of the 28th of February, so that's end of this month in Canberra. We should be a part of their YouTube coverage as well, again, Benny, so that'll be cool from my side of things. MXGP is going to start in March on the 8th in Argentina. New South Wales Off-Road is going to kick off at Maitland on the 14th of March. The Oz Pro MX Series is going to kick off in Wonthaggi on March 21st. So not too many more weeks and we'll have full gamut of all the series back up and running again, and so we'll be back to normal programming. It is that odd time of year where it's only the AMA Supercross that's running, but plenty to look forward to, Benny. Is there anything on your list that you're looking forward to, starting back up?
I think the Pro MX, it'll be good to see how that goes, especially in MX2 class. Haven't got Brodie Connolly in there anymore, so I'll be interested to see who takes the reins there and wins that title. That'll be interesting.
Well, speaking of that, actually, the signing news this week through for Ryder Kingsford going to Honda Australia. Kind of guess we could have seen that coming, given that his brother is there in the lower class, like in that MX3 class, and obviously being the challenger to Brodie last year. Urive likes to keep the next guy coming through to his side of things, so he's poached him across from Yamaha. I do think, and you can confirm with me if you think similarly, but at the moment, if you are that top level guy in Australia in that up and coming area of that 250 side of things, Honda's the team to be with because they have those overseas American connections to go and do AMA Supercross. You with me? You would be doing similar?
Yep.
I feel like Yamaha and like even Dakar, they need to do something about that because they are losing out on their ability to get the top guy on their team or maintain the top guy on their team.
Yeah, I think it makes it a lot easier when you're probably presented with an opportunity to, if you do well here, then you can have a go overseas. We've seen it with Webster. Got to do a few of the AMA outdoor races. With Supercross, Brodie now gets a turn over there. If you've got the opportunity in front of you, you wouldn't turn it down. That's what everyone's goal is, to get over there and race. If Yamaha and that don't have that opportunity, then it's a simple decision. Yeah,
I think like Dak has obviously got a link with Star Racing in terms of some of the things that they've done in the past, where when Eli Tomac was on the Star Racing Yamaha team and he did the World Supercross, he was pitted through CDR and some things like that. They've got some information exchange going on. I feel like Dakar needs to somehow line up an ability to have one bike at some point, whether that's for SMX next, whether that's for the 250 class there, east or west, even if it's just for a couple of rounds, where he can sign somebody on that premise that if you do X in the Australian series, you get this as your reward, and it's your introduction, your audition, let's say, to getting a full-time ride in the AMA, to entice Yamaha to get some more riders coming or staying with them, coming back to them, coming with them or staying with them, because they have been losing out. Honda is dominating the scenario here because of that setup that Urive's got both here and in the US. It's got to change for them. Otherwise, it's going to be the same thing over and over again.
Yeah. Do you think that there could be a link now between the Lux Turner's with Bar X and he was here racing? Do you think there could be a link now with that team, those two? Was it Yamaha, Yamalube, or WBR?
Yeah, the WBR guys or the Yamalube, Yamaha guys. Like Yamalube and the Craig Dack team, they're Yamaha Australia, so they should be able to get some swing. Whether WBR fits into all that as well, it could as well. But yeah, like Bar X or even Club, like Club MX Yamaha. Yamaha Australia needs to do something with one of those teams. Team Solitaire for all I care. Like Yamaha, they're on Yamahas as well. They need to have a link that entices their talent that they've brought up. Like, think Blake Bohannon, the next guy in the list here, right? He's the 85 guy that won the 85 Cup this year in Supercross. He won all the national titles. He's been over with Yamaha to the... I can't think of which ones it was. He did like the MXGP one, I think. He may have done the Ironman or something as well there for 65s and 85s at different years as he's been going along. If he gets to that next step and takes that step to SX3 and does really well, if he can't get something with Yamaha that does like this, he's going to be he's Yamaha's baby at this point, but he'll go straight to Honda in the future if those same scenarios remain as they are now when he gets there in 2 or 3 years' time.
Yeah.
And that would suck. Like, he's been a Yamaha kid since, I'm pretty sure, since he started. So
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, you know, like you said, it's an easy decision, but they need to, we need to get some kind of, you know, opportunity for them to be able to stay.
Yeah, I'd be interested to ask, like, Craig Dack if he's had this discussion or he's in those discussions trying to work something like this out, because he would know. He's a smart dude. He would know that this is undermining his ability to get certain people through the Yamaha system. So, yeah, we'll see how that one goes. But, yeah, it's going to be an interesting Pro MX series. The other one, too, like, we've had some switcheroos, but we're seeing those red fenders for a Reese Budd as well in some Instagram stories as well. So he's switching some teams. We've obviously got the Empire Kawasaki team's going to look very different this year with Dean Ferris out of retirement for the upteenth time, and joined by Brad West there in the 450 class. So very different on that side of things. Just, yeah, it's going to be a different looking setup here in Australian motocross.
Yeah, and that's, you know, that comes with the new year, new season, new looks. That's all the exciting part. Definitely is.
So yeah, so those went long on the upcoming events, but there's plenty to look forward to. So anyway, all right. Anything else, Benny? Before we wrap this thing up, we've been going for quite some time now. I don't even know how long it is, but anyway, it's been good.
No, just a big thank you to Quadlock again for our goodies, and we'll test them out and see how they go.
Yeah, we're going to have to put together some a little piece here shortly, so I'll be looking for some photos. But yeah, Quadlock, appreciate it. Markov have also offered a few things here coming up that we're going to try and use for a couple of videos for the Stark Varg shortly. Thanks to Stark Varg as well, obviously. But yeah, otherwise, great show. Thanks for everyone out there for watching or listening. If you're not watching, you should be on the YouTube and subscribing to our YouTube channel. If you're not listening, you can do that via your favorite podcast player and follow along and subscribe to the feeds there. We didn't do this at the start because we jumped in straight into Caleb, but order a t-shirt. Support the show direct. Info@AlwaysMoto.com. Get yourself a t-shirt. They're $25 plus postage and handling. Pretty cheap for a t-shirt these days, if I do say so myself, but it will support the show, help us get to some upcoming events, maybe fly the contractor, Benny, to us to make him ride a Stark Varg. We can have a whole video on it. Otherwise, we can check out our written articles as well. We're putting up the Varg articles, for example, the most recent ones, on fullnoise.com.au as well, in a written sense, as well as linking in the videos there if you haven't found them on our YouTube already. So check out fullnoise.com.au. But that's it for another show. Thanks to Tech Motorsport, Duramoose. You've got to get into the Duramooses. If you're buying mooses, you need to use our discount code. It's in the show notes. I believe it's AlwaysMoto10, if I'm not mistaken. But check it out in the show notes. It is helping us as well. So they are giving us, a portion of what the sales are. So we need to get Duramoose. You need to go and buy Duramooses to help support the show that way as well. So if you need moose, go and do it. They're cheaper. 2, they last longer. And 3, you can get a discount code, which you probably can't get for any of the other brands if you're buying through, one of your other shops or whatever. So use the Duramoose code that we have for AlwaysMoto. Pivot Pegs, Competitive Edge Performance, and Tech 167 3D Printing, they all supporting the show as well. Thanks to the wife and kids for letting me get this done. Benny, thank you.
It's all right, thank you.
And we'll see everyone at the track. And if I can find the outro, we'll hit the outro button. See you, everyone.